Alright, we're back, of course, talking FF7. We're talking some Rebirth. Then we have a kind of interesting discussion, I guess, in regards to Rebirth sales, specifically in Europe. Apparently, the game sales increased a significant percentage following the Game of the Year finalist announcement in Europe. 268% specifically for FF7 Rebirth. And that by itself is, a pretty good headline, I suppose, a pretty good story, but it's not the full details because while that is a significant percentage increase, it's only week on week. So a few days ago, we had this tweet from Christopher Dring, I think is how I say his name, who's head of GameIndustry.biz, that says, following the reveal of the finalists for the Game Awards, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth sales increased 268% week on week across Europe. Astrobot jumped 61%, Elden Ring 38%, Metaphor 172%, and Silent Hill 43%. We're not talking huge sales figures overall, but a definite uptick. And that week on week detail is something that I think some people seem to be missing, because it's a week on week increase. So like the previous week in Europe, how many fucking units of Rebirth sold, right? Because we're talking, like 9 months after launch, specifically in the European region. How many units sold, right, on the previous week before this announcement came out, I guess, of the Game of the Year finalists? If we're being generous, maybe like tens of thousands, maybe 10, 20, 30,000 or something, but like a 268% increase on like 10 or 20 or 30,000s. Not that many units. Even Christopher says it's not that many. Because I've seen this Reddit post like a day or so ago, and it has a ton of interaction now. Like, I've been on this subreddit for, several years now, and there's very few posts that ever get like 1,000+ upvotes. A lot of people in the replies seem to have their head on their shoulders, that they're aware that this is week on week. As people have pointed out, there's, sales. It's the holidays. I think Rebirth's been on sale at least a handful of times here and there throughout the year. It's been 9 months since launch, obviously. And specifically, it's on sale right now. You can get it for like 40% off. It's like $42. The point of bringing that up is that the Game Awards is probably not the only contributing factor to the increase in sales for games. I'm sure it helps. Game Awards is very, very popular, right? But there's obviously a ton of sales happening right now for video games. Obviously, it's great to see Rebirth doing better. We want the game to, sell as many copies as possible. The game should be successful. It's a very fantastic game. But we're talking, in one specific region, 9 months after launch, a week-on-week sell increase. Like, what are the numbers we're even dealing with here? Does it even fucking matter? It matters in the sense that the sales are increasing, but ultimately, what is the number increase, right? Kind of the point of this video, besides covering this little bit of info, is that people need to kind of look into stuff for themselves. Because that screenshot that the person posted on Reddit, obviously they didn't look into it. They're excited. They're seeing that sales went up 268%. But there's a screenshot from Ryan the Bouncer. I think it's like a content creator or something. I see the guy all the time on Twitter. A lot of garbage tweets that are kind of just like shovelware type shit. But clearly didn't tweet out the full information. His tweet just says 268% in Europe. That's all it says. And it leaves out obviously the biggest fucking most important thing. It's a week on week increase. If I had to hazard a guess, that little piece of information was probably left out of the tweet because otherwise the tweet wouldn't do as good as it did, because it's less interesting if you know that it's simply a week-on-week increase. Of course, if this was a 268% increase for total sales in Europe, essentially, theoretically, overnight, the Game of the Year nominees, finalists, whatever, is announced, and then however many units have been sold up to that point in Europe, there's a 268% increase. Yeah, that's kind of a big deal, because I imagine it sold, several hundreds of thousands. I don't know exactly. We don't know the total sold numbers of Rebirth, but it probably sold, decently well in Europe. And if we saw a 268% increase of that, then yeah, that's a big fucking deal. And actually, I say that, but I don't even know if that's true because we don't have sales updates ever for Rebirth. So I don't know how many units have been totally sold at this point, right? They don't give us updates like, here's another million. We sold 5 million. We sold 6 million, 7 million, right? We're not getting those updates. So really, regionally, if we're just breaking it down, how many sold in US and how many sold in Japan and Europe, they might not be in crazy, crazy numbers. So even then, to a certain degree, 268% in one particular region might not even be that much of an increase. I don't know. Hopefully, if Rebirth wins Game of the Year, that could help boost sales overall, just kind of everywhere, right? It's Game of the Year. It's the best Game of the Year according to the Game Awards. That could help the game get some more sales for sure. But yeah, I don't know. It depends. Elden Ring's gonna win though, so who gives a fuck? That's kind of it for the video. I just want to cover this. I thought it was kind of an interesting discussion. I did want to cover this little bit of info. It's still good to see Rebirth sales increasing, and 268% is a pretty high percentage. It's just a matter of the actual units sold. The previous week. In the next week, what are we dealing with here? Does the number even matter? We're talking less than 10,000 the previous week, so we're getting fucking maybe 20,000 at most the next week or some shit. What is it exactly? Who knows? Anyways, that's the video. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Social work in the description below. Follow me on Twitter @StableYT. That's it. Bye.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more, and nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Logain, or leave it like Cobain.